There are two types of movie genres that I typically gravitate towards to the most. The first one being horror, as you obviously know by now if you've known me long enough. The second one being romance, usually more rom-coms, but specifically I have a soft spot for the early 2000 rom-com genre. I'm a 90s kid. I'm a millennial. I grew up on this, so it was something that a lot of us missed, a lot of us my age. So when one of the last movies of 2023, Anyone But You, was announced, I got really excited. One, because I'm a really big fan of Glen Powell. I love him in the movie Set It Up, and anytime he's in a movie, especially a rom-com type of deal, I'm in. And secondly, because when you see the trailer, it screams early mid-2000s rom-com. Can you remember the last time we had a movie kind of like this? I kind of can't really remember much. Although, to be fair, when I go to the cinema, it's usually for horror movies. If you like movies and movie reviews and commentary, I do have a write-up on Anyone But You on my Patreon page, so be sure to go check that out. But for now, let's go ahead and get rolling with this video, shall we? Anyone But You stars Glen Powell, of course, and Sydney Sweeney, who you might know from Euphoria. Their characters are Ben and B, who end up having a little meet-cute at a coffee shop, and B really has to go to the bathroom, but they won't let her go unless she buys something. It's an emergency and the line is very long. So Ben pretends that B is his wife so that they can get the key a lot faster because he's already ordered, or he's next in line to order. Lo and behold, they have a little date for the rest of the day. They make it back to his place, and the date basically lasts all night long. During this time, B is actually on a break from her fiance, and when she wakes up the next morning at Ben's apartment, she sneaks out before he can wake up. She doesn't really realize why she's doing that. It's been so long since she's done any dating. I think her fiance at the time, I think this was probably her longest relationship. So she's new, she's freaking out, she sneaks out. Ben wakes up while she's in the middle of sneaking out, and he feels horrible. His self-esteem is gone. And so when his roommate comes in, I'm assuming that's his roommate, he ends up talking a lot of crap just to make it seem like he's not affected by B sneaking out. And while he's doing that, B is actually on her way back because she feels bad, and when she overhears the bad things that he's saying about her, she ends up hating him, and they don't see each other again. Until they happen to run into each other at a club because B's sister is dating his roommate's friend or cousin or something. They hash things out a little bit at the club, and then lo and behold, the roommate's friend, cousin, I can't remember, and B's sister are getting married, and they're going to Australia for this wedding. And of course, Ben and B are both invited. This film falls into the fake dating trope, which is a trope that some people love, some people hate. Once they get to Australia, everybody's trying to hook them up a little bit. Ben wants this old, fling of his. They had a summer together. Turns out that she's there because the family invited her. So they end up fake dating for two reasons. They're being pushed together and to make another one jealous. But are they really gonna pull it off though? Because these two hate each other over a complete misunderstanding. Let's talk about the script, shall we? The dialogue. For the most part, I really liked it. It has the banter that you would expect from enemies to lovers, and quite a bit of it is funny, and Glen does this really well. This is in his wheelhouse. I will say that some of the dialogue was a bit cringy. It felt a little bit too hard. I think part of it may just be... Actually, I'm wondering if part of me thinks that A, it is just the writing itself, and B, if it's something that Sydney Sweeney is having difficulty with. Although not just Sydney, but also Glen, but I think it also just has to do with the fact of the writing itself. Sometimes you just really can't make a script work, even if you're one of the greatest actors ever. Sometimes a cringy script is just too cringy to make it work. And speaking of Sydney, one of the major talking points from everyone was how they felt like Sydney wasn't well cast for this. The movie hadn't even come out yet, but just judging by the trailer, a lot of people thought that Sydney wasn't going to be able to do romantic comedy or comedy in general very well, because we are so used to seeing her in more dramatic type of roles like Euphoria, and then there was another, I think it was a movie, I can't remember if it's a TV show or a movie, it's pretty recent as well. So she does dramatic really well, and I'm gonna say I think she did really well with this. I think the trailer, just the way it was edited, they didn't really pick out the best parts that really show that she can do this type of role, this type of genre pretty well. Especially because one thing to keep in mind is that she really hates Ben. And I'm believing it when she's acting it out. You can tell by her face that she's just really hates Ben. And then when some of the funny parts are happening, like when she accidentally gets water all over her pants at the very beginning from the sink in the bathroom, I thought that was really funny. She did that part well. I believed it. I liked the chemistry between Glenn and Sydney pretty alright. Now, I am biased. I really do like Glenn and Zoe together. I love them in Set It Up. But I will say, I don't know if I see Zoe as an actor playing like a really sexy character. Sydney does that very well. Zoe to me is like the girl next door, the cute girl next door who's really goofy. You see her play it so well and Set It Up and some other films as well. And if she's not playing the goofy next door girl type of vibe very well, the elegant woman type that she's playing in that one holiday movie that was on Amazon, she does that pretty well too. But for some reason, I can't imagine her playing like this sexy type of character that Sydney is playing in Anyone But You. I'm not saying she can't, but I'm not imagining it right now. So as much as I would have loved to see Glenn and Zoe in this type of film again, and let's be honest, Glenn and Sydney are two very pretty people to look at. They really are. Of course, by the end of the film, there is a happy ending. Ben and Bea will get together, and it's believable. I say it's more believable, especially because they had their first date already at the beginning of the movie, and they were both really liking each other. So it's not necessarily a very instant, you know, enemies to lovers that fall in love with each other type of deal that you often see in books that makes it seem like it's a little too unbelievable. Because obviously they were thinking of each other a lot. If I recall, it was about a year in between since the first date and when the wedding happened. So they were thinking about each other for some time. The Titanic scene on the boat was really cute. Glenn attempting to save Sydney when he can't swim very well was really nice. When she mentions that one landmark, how she wants to go people watching there on land, it's something that means a lot to her because she likes seeing the couples get together, having their little dates and the proposals that are happening. Near the end, you know, that big finale, that big light bulb scene. Ben's realizing, you know, I really love this girl. I need to go find her. He ends up getting rescued purposely by water rescue again because he jumps into the ocean when he shouldn't be. They don't like it. And he's running over to that landmark because he remembered. Nobody else could figure out where she could possibly be, but he remembered because he loves the girl and he's going to pay attention to what she's saying. And of course, that's where she is, because after she sees Ben kissing that other woman, when really it was the other woman that kissed him, she's running off, and that's where she's gonna go. She's there. There's that whole typical, you know, I love you speech. They kiss. End of the movie. And the very end of the movie, the credits, is probably the best part, the most nostalgic part of the entire film. And it actually made me start to like Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. I never thought it was a bad song, but for some reason, when that song was coming out and it wouldn't stop playing on the radio, my brain just got irritated every single time it came on. But because it's a song that helps Ben be at peace when he's flying, because he hates flying and heights, whatever, that's the song that he likes to listen to or sing to himself, whatever. Which reminds me, Bea was singing that song to him when they were both getting rescued. He didn't like being up in the air, and she was trying to help him not be so scared. And she knew that was his Serenity song because she heard it when she was in first class to go to the bathroom and her jacket got stuck to the armchair thing. So she heard that song through his headphones while he was sleeping. That part was so cute to me. But so for the ending credits, they had the bloopers, and the bloopers was essentially everybody singing that song while they were doing funny things in scenes, and that made me smile so much during the movie because it's something I've definitely missed. I've been staying for the credits a lot more often now because post-credit scenes, right? And I don't think I've seen anything like that in so long, where people are just singing to silly songs again. Or they'll play the bloopers while having that song in the background, but this was so much better because that song was such a major point between the two of them in that film. And so it was a really cute movie. I gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd because of the dialogue being a bit weird. I didn't think that while I think Glenn and Sydney have good chemistry, maybe again it was the dialogue, but some of it felt a little bit too forced. But I do want to watch it again, so when it comes on streaming, I'm gonna watch it again and maybe I'll like it even more and I'll give it a higher rating. If you have not seen it yet and you like feel-good romantic comedies, you grew up in the 90s, like I did, you're a millennial, you grew up on those romantic comedies, give it a watch. Hopefully you can go watch it in cinema because I think it's going to be so much better that way. But of course, if you have to wait until it comes on streaming, I understand. So when it comes on streaming, give it a try then too. If you've seen the movie, go ahead and let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Man, that's pretty much all I have to say on that. Again, if you want to read more thoughts on the movie, I have a write-up on Patreon, so go check that out. And while you're on there, if you would like to support the work that I do, consider becoming a member, because sometimes you'll get exclusive movie reviews and commentary under the $5 tier. Other ways to support the channel also include being a YouTube channel member, so if you would like an extra video every month, that's one thing to consider. If monthly commitments are not your thing, you may want to consider the super thanks down here as well. All of those are very much appreciated. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on future movie reviews and commentary. I appreciate you watching this video very much, and I will see you later. Bye.